Hello, hello. It is Friday, October 4th, and we are here a little bit later than we normally are. I could not sleep last night, so when I tried to wake up this morning, it wasn't working. Oh, good evening. I'm glad that it was good timing for y'all in the UK. I don't even know what time it is over there. How far ahead are you guys? Yeah, I guess it would be evening. It is 2 p.m. in Central Time, and I'm in Texas. Let me fix my lighting a little bit. Alrighty. So, we have a bunch of stuff to talk about like we do every day. There's always something going on. So, I have a bunch of videos that I saved just since yesterday. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get through all of them, but what I don't finish today definitely will finish tomorrow. I do plan on going live again tomorrow. I am so sweaty. I'm so hot for like no reason. I have my fan on, but I have two displays now and it's kind of blocking it. But anyway, yeah, I found out after I set up everything that I have to get a different dock because I need Thunderbolt to get my computer to support the two displays. So one of them is just not working right now because will mirror it and I don't want it mirrored. But anyway, enough about me. Yes, Amanda, I hope that you feel better. I'm sorry that you're not feeling well. So since I've moved into my house, there's been some weird stuff going on, but I wasn't too worried about it. I mean, weird stuff happens. My dog, who will be 13 in a month, a little over a month, she's a great guard dog. She doesn't bark just to bark. So she normally barks if she sees someone or someone knocks at the door, obviously. She doesn't just bark at whatever. So the past few months, she's been barking at like, it looks like she's looking at something and she's barking at it and just randomly does it. So I'm like, maybe she's getting old and, a little dementia or something. Uh, but I've taken her to the vet. Everything's fine for the most part. Um, and then I wish I had video of this. I wish that there was 24/7 recording that I would have had a video because they only have the reaction of what happened. My roommate was drinking this Stein glass. Like it was like this big, super thick glass. I have photos of the parts that broke. He went to drink it and it literally just exploded. It exploded as he was drinking it. And like very, very thick glass, like not a normal glass. And it was huge chunks of glass that we found under the carpet. And I'm like, or under the couch. I'm like, all right, well, that's weird, but there must be some physics explanation. And today I went in my closet in my bedroom, and for some reason, my closet has a fan in it. It is a fairly large closet. So I guess if you are planning on spending a lot of time in there, you might want a fan. Um, but I have never turned that fan off. I've only adjusted the fan speed when I first moved in. So every time I go in the closet, I flip the switch and the fan and the light comes on. So I went in today, flipped the switch, and the fan didn't come on. So I was like, oh, well, maybe the fan died. Pulled the cord. No, it still works. It works fine. And I have cameras, so nobody's been in my bedroom. So how did the fan get turned off? Yeah, I don't know what's going on over here, but I'm not digging in my backyard anytime soon. Hi, Missy, Tash. Thanks for joining. Super last minute. I just wanted to pop on today at some point, and yeah, I might call. I have like a bunch of crucifixes around the house. But none of them have turned upside down or anything like that. So maybe we're okay. Maybe we'll call a priest. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, the carpet in the backyard definitely made me think about that because, she thought her place was haunted too. But anyway, so we're going to start out. We're going to move over to Seattle and talk about abuse of power by a police officer. And so this is Mercer Island. If you guys know the Seattle area, you probably know where that is. I have absolutely no idea. So, Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Let me move over the screen. We have not had rain here. I wish that we would get rain. It is so dry. And like I have to water my lawn. I have sprinklers, like the one that goes like this and the one that goes like this. And I feel like a real adult because I'm out there watering my lawn. But yeah, my like it's so dry that like the ground's cracking and all that, and I know that's not good for the foundation. So I have to water my lawn. I don't remember the last time we had rain. It's been a month, maybe weeks. But anyway, so Mercer Island's expensive. Interesting. All right, well, let's jump into it.
You're looking at the wife of a police officer assaulting a man outside a Fall City bar. The attack caught on surveillance cameras. But this turned into so much more. That woman was arrested, and the officer found himself in hot water after he flashed his badge, lied during a traffic stop, and then tried to pull rank to get his wife released from jail.
And tonight, we're looking into an investigation that uncovered additional misdeeds by that police officer, including an on-the-clock sex toy prank.
That officer has been demoted, but he's not out of the woods just yet. As Matthew Smith reports, he could lose his badge altogether as the state agency is now looking into this situation.
I've never seen anything like this ever, actually.
Like most dive bars, the Last Frontier Saloon could tell some stories. Andrew Goodman, a regular, can attest.
It went 0 to 60 in like 5 seconds.
There are few like what was captured on surveillance video last October. This is Goodman being kicked by Jennifer Rogenkamp. The guy next to her is her husband, Mercer Island Police Sergeant Todd Rogenkamp. And if the tuxedo tee didn't tip you off, he's not on official duty. He left a wedding and hit this Fall City bar with friends. But when last call came and went, and when the doors closed, the Rogenkamps found themselves on the rocks with employees outside. Turns out, Mrs. Rogenkamp had left her phone inside, so Mr. Rogenkamp demanded that they open back up.
This badge says I can get in the building. This is verbatim what he said.
That moment appears here on video. The flashing of his badge, just the beginning of his problems. Shortly after that, a kick, an attempted slap, a fall, and yet another kick came from Mrs. Rogenkamp.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Leading Goodman to call the cops on a cop.
Challenged my friend and I to fight because he knew the rule of racial combat in the state of Washington, which we both declined.
To say awkward would be an understatement.
Justin McMartin is Goodman's friend. He saw the whole ordeal go down.
I don't know how else to describe it. It was just weird.
During that call, Rogenkamp jumped in the back seat of a truck and drove off with another couple. But King County deputies caught up and pulled them over on eastbound I-90. But things only escalated. Deputies say Todd was egging on his friend who was driving the vehicle to take off because of the police pursuit laws. They also say he lied about seeing the assault, calling the deputy a amateur. When asked about flashing his badge, he claimed to be a firefighter, which he isn't. The deputy wrote the Rogenkamps were, quote, clearly inebriated, as displayed by their thick, slurred speech, heavy eyelids, and uncoordinated movements. Deputies booked Mrs. Rogenkamp in the King County Jail in Seattle on an assault charge. Mr. Rogenkamp's boss at the time, Mercer Island Police Chief Ed Holmes, would later write that he was concerned that Rogenkamp drove himself to the jail within 1 hour of being observed by King County deputies as very intoxicated. According to King County jail staff, at roughly 3 a.m., Rogenkamp demanded his wife be released from the facility. But when staff told him he'd have to wait until 7 a.m. to post his wife's bail, he threatened to block the sally port, the controlled entry point. Jail staff documented him saying, quote, I'm going to sit here and block all the cops coming in. Ultimately, he decided not to block the entrance. And after Mrs. Rogenkamp was bonded out of jail, prosecutors never charged her with a crime. But all of it, the jail, the combative traffic stop, not to mention him flashing his badge, it added up to 9 ethical rules breached, per the Mercer Island internal investigation. Now investigators from Washington's Criminal Justice Training Commission are working to determine whether they'll decertify Rogenkamp, meaning that badge he was flashing would be taken away.
I don't want to speculate like what kind of officer he would be on duty, but if this is off-duty behavior, it makes other officers look bad. It's a badge, not a crown.
The investigation also uncovered text messages and pictures of a phallic sex toy. Turns out, while on the clock as the watch commander, he attached a sex toy to his subordinate officer's cruiser just 7 days prior to the incident in Falls City. An investigator writing, "You then let him drive around the community performing patrol duties in said vehicle for several hours without him knowing the sex toy was attached. Termination was recommended, but per records obtained by Fox 13, Rogenkamp's union argued and succeeded for a lesser punishment, a demotion."
As a result of all this, Sergeant Rogenkamp would eventually become Officer Rogenkamp. Now, our team reached out to the Rogenkamp family multiple times via text and phone call through the number that they listed on her bail documents. We've yet to hear back. The union has also not responded, but the current police chief of Mercer Island tells us in part, quote, "MIPD took immediate action related to this incident, and while we aren't able to publicly discuss the details of personnel processes, corrective action was taken. The police chief submitted the case to the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission for their certification review process." Now, that last part may be the most important here. CJTC does have the ability to pull an officer's certification, essentially taking Rogenkamp's badge and his ability to be an officer anywhere in our state. Of course, we'll be following along, and as we learn more, we'll update you.
They should take his badge. Somebody that's acting like that is ridiculous. They should not be in law enforcement. They give law enforcement a bad name. I don't know why she wasn't charged. I mean, sometimes they just don't. There's not enough. The person maybe didn't want to press charges, or the district attorney's office didn't want to pursue it, or there wasn't enough evidence, or whatever. That may or may not be connected, but if he didn't act like a jerk, then he wouldn't be in trouble, and then his wife would have gotten out anyway and nothing happened. But clearly, his wife is aware of the way that he is because she's acting entitled, very entitled. Like, I don't care what position, what job I have, if I'm a politician or a lawyer or a cop or whatever. Don't act like that and don't expect me to do something about it because I'm going to let you. I'm going to let you just sit in jail or get in trouble, whatever. I'm not going to risk my career for some stupid shit like that. Like, his wife was being ridiculous. Like, maybe ask nicely and they would open back up so she could get her phone. Don't be a jerk about it. You get more flies with honey than you do vinegar. Yay, Candace, I'm glad you were able to join. Yeah, I was going to stream this morning, but I was up all night and I wasn't feeling well. So we're going to move on to another story that does involve law enforcement, except this story is actually a good story. This police officer was able to save a baby's life that was choking.
Moment. Okay, he's breathing. The baby's crying, it's breathing.
The sounds of a miracle piercing through the night. It happened a month ago today, outside of Cedar Brook Elementary School.
They think he might have ate something.
Spring Branch ISD police officer Juan Pedraza relying on his training and instincts to rescue a baby boy, approximately 9 months in age, choking on a piece of plastic. All of it captured on body cam. Larry Bainbridge is Pedraza's chief.
Before the days of body cams, these things weren't well documented, and you'd hear about them, but you didn't see them. Now you can see them.
What the camera shows is Pedraza working relentlessly for minutes as he attempts to dislodge the piece of plastic. The officer jumping into action without hesitation.
You don't get a chance to call timeout. You don't get a chance to, get on your phone and go, what do I do? The baby's choking. You better know beforehand. And you better take action right away because every single second counts.
Until the silence is broken. As the baby cried, reality began to set in for all. The baby's life had been saved. Pedraza was honored for his heroics last week by the district. However, what few know is that he only recently transferred to nights so that Pedraza could spend more time with his own baby boy.
You were right where you're supposed to be. You were on night shift when you needed to be on night shift. You're where you need to be at the right moment.
Well, so I think that
was a pretty quick, sharp ending. Like, no segue, nothing. Like, all right, that's it, done. Spring Branch ISD, there's two Spring Branches. There's a Spring Branch that's a city, and then there's Spring Branch, an area in Houston. I don't know which one that is. Let me see. Let me see if it'll tell me. I don't know if this was Central Texas or let me see. Cedar, yeah, that's Houston. That was in the Houston area, just FYI. So the next story does involve domestic violence. This is coming out of Salt Lake City. A woman got a protective order. This is something that we see over and over and over, where the system does not protect domestic violence victims. And if somebody's truly violent, a protective order is really not going to do anything. So this woman got a protective order, and she's sharing her story to help others. And her and her children are actually kidnapped by her ex.
Going to therapy has helped a lot. Well, so I think like going to therapy has helped a lot. Like listening, she told me that like you go back at least 7 times, and so that made me feel like not so guilty, because I was crying a lot. I was thinking like, why didn't I leave sooner? I could have prevented this. I was putting a lot of self-blame like on me as a mom, and I realized like, that's just how it is, and they brainwash you. Like he had complete control over me. My thoughts, my every move, my phone, my keys. Like I wasn't in control at that point, even to reach out to family members. It got that bad, so.
Yeah, you hear a lot about women feeling like their ability to leave is like, if they leave, that something worse is going to happen.
Yeah.
Did you have those thoughts?
Oh yeah. Like, because I would try breaking up with him, and that's when the fights would get really violent. And that was one that was like stated where he gave me my first head concussion when I was trying to break up with him. And it was really scary. And I ended up being hospitalized that day. And he went to jail for it. And then there was a protective order. But he got out and he showed up to my house. And at that point, I really didn't know what to do. Do I call the cops? Do I lose my place? Like, I got told if cops were to show up again to my house that I would lose my home where me and my children are. So I was at fear. And then also part of me believed that he was going to change. He told me what I wanted to hear. He's like, I love you. I'm sorry that happened. He tried to tell me that I slipped and fell. And I kind of like was still in that trauma bond. I guess that's kind of what I've learned in therapy. It's like you just have like this bond with them. And so I just kind of believed everything he said. And
yeah, I want to get into that protective order. So when was that? Was that in June?
Yes. Yeah. So the protective order was in June. I went to the hospital and they asked if I wanted to like press charges or whatever. Well, they didn't ask. They were going to if I didn't want to either way. So St. George PD did their job, but I was scared because he would tell me if he ever goes back to jail, that it wouldn't be good for him. And he would just like say horrible things to me. And so they ended up arresting him that same day. And then he was released. But like I said, he still came to my house and showed up. And I was scared too. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm like trying to think. Sorry.
No, but that's all. I mean, that's so all well stated. And what always strikes me is that when there's a protective order and then someone violates it, as if this piece of paper is meant to actually deter someone who has such, violent inclinations. Yeah. Did you feel like a protective order was going to protect you?
No. I feel like I feel like there's no point of a protective order or a restraining order. It's literally just a piece of paper. And I mean, you can't have a cop sitting outside of your house 24/7. I feel like there has to be something.
The only benefit with a restraining order is if they show up and you're able to get the police to respond before something happens, then there's another charge. But yeah, it's that movie Enough with Jennifer Lopez. I really like that movie, even though it's completely ridiculous and would never happen in real life. When they tell her to get a restraining order, she's like, "What is that? A piece of paper? What am I supposed to do? Throw it at him?" Like, exactly. There's not going to be police outside of your house. People wonder why victims don't leave. It's not that easy. And then you anger them by putting them in the system. It's a very brave thing for victims of domestic violence to do. They need to find a way to take these people when releasing them. I agree. Unfortunately, and a defense attorney meow, I'm so sorry that you went through that. But and I'm glad that he got arrested, but not that his dad bailed him out or said that to you either. It's so dangerous to leave, and she's absolutely right. It takes an average of 7 times. And protective orders can't physically do anything, but if you feel like you're in danger, I definitely recommend filing one so you have that in place. Yeah, I don't know, the some of the movies that I really like are cheesy and like completely out of the realm of possibility, but I really like them. Like enough. A lot of those 90s movies, early 2000 movies, oh, to track them. Yeah, so some of them literally have ankle monitors on and still go harass the loved one. Nobody, at least in Harris County, nobody is actually tracking the ankle monitor like in real time to see like, oh, if they go around this person, uh, there's generally like another company in another state that's tracking it, and the police can't track it. It has to be this other company. So even if somebody is a murder suspect, they can't use it to track someone. It's so stupid. It's the more I learn, the more angry I get on how things work, because I understand that we have to protect our rights as citizens, but where does public safety and rights, at what point does one overrule the other? Because people are dying.
Thing more like for when men or even women go to jail on domestic violence to protect the victims, there has to be something else besides a restraining order or protective order, because it's only good for so many days. And sometimes the victims don't show up to court, kind of like what he did to me. He made it to where I couldn't show up, and the protective order was dropped because of that. And like I said, it doesn't protect you.
Yeah, and it's like you're in the hospital, you have a head injury from this person,
which also caused like a lot of brain fog. And I honestly really wasn't even with it kind of for a while. Like everything was foggy. I kind of didn't really remember everything. And he got out like pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's like
that happens when you get a concussion. I had a concussion in 2014, and they didn't do concussion protocols because I wasn't told for 2 days that I had a concussion. My pupils were 2 different sizes, and I struggled for months with like brain fog or feeling like my brain was beach balling, or getting the hourglass on a computer. I couldn't remember words. I couldn't remember how to spell stuff. And yeah, I wish that there would have been an advocate or somebody helping her through this process.
There's got to be more that can be done to protect someone where that the abuser doesn't respect authority, doesn't respect someone saying, don't come to me, don't come to my house and come around my kids.
Yep.
Like, how is a piece of paper that's really not enforced gonna help you?
Exactly. That's how I feel. That's something that I've been like looking into. Like, I feel like there has to be some type of law. Like, I feel like they should like hold people in jail longer. And I don't know much about like courts and stuff like that, but I just know that there has to be something else other than a protective order to protect victims, because it's not working. Like I said, like with me and other women, like, getting hurt physically and even possibly dying, getting kidnapped, like it's serious. And I think we need to be taken seriously, the victims. So,
yeah, I was curious about, your experience with the police when you met with them with the initial, what happened in June, and then subsequently, did you feel like they believed you?
I do. I feel like for me, I think because they knew he had passed, like, domestic violence, so they knew of him. He was well known for it. He has abused multiple women, so they did believe me, and they were kind of like telling me like he's an abuser. So like St. George PD was like really like good to me, and like I was trying to protect him because there were times that he was hiding and telling me to lie, and he said like he would hurt me if I said anything to them. And so I was really scared. So I feel like the cops that I dealt with anyway, for me, they did their job. But as far as like the court, not so much.
And that's so sad. And I'm glad to hear that the police supported her. I've heard, definitely a multitude of different experiences, but it doesn't matter what the police do if the courts aren't going to protect. What can we do to protect victims of domestic violence so they don't end up getting murdered? Because what we have now isn't working, and it's not working in multiple states, in multiple areas. So very brave of her to show her face and to, tell her story. We have no idea who she could help with this. Man, I am getting a ridiculous amount of spam calls. This is so, I've literally got 2 at 2:01, 1 at 2:23, 1 at 2:24, and 1 at 2:31. It's so annoying. Like, it's all spam. Like, if we looked at, so I don't care about showing these phone numbers because they're not anybody's, they're just spam. So only one of these missed calls is a legitimate person. And this is just from Wednesday to today. Like, look at, so annoying. No, this is like actual spam because they leave voicemails and they say stuff like, "We're a lender and we're going to give you $75,000." It's typically that one that keeps calling me, and it's so annoying. Oh, I do block the numbers. They come up with new numbers, and sometimes they call me from one number but then leave a voicemail from another one. They just keep making new numbers. And then I got somebody somebody's calling for Laura Munoz when I've had this number for like 15 years. Now they're calling for her because she owes somebody something. So that's fun. It's annoying. Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting a sudden surge in spam calls, but it's very annoying. Very annoying. I'm just glad my phone I don't answer numbers that I don't know. Because of that, I don't answer. I really don't answer my phone that often unless I know who it is or I'm expecting a call. Because my phone is quiet on do not disturb most of the time. But I do have some people that are, favorites so they can call no matter what in case of emergency. But anyway, so moving to Las Vegas from Salt Lake City, there is a fertility clinic that is being sued because they used the wrong embryo.
The baby that my client thought was his really isn't his.
A shocking fertility mix-up only discovered after a teenager takes an online DNA test. 18 years ago, a fertility clinic helped a couple have a child.
But now, nearly 2 decades later, they say the daughter they love and raise isn't biologically theirs. 8 News Now investigator David Charnes asking how this could have happened.
Well, this couple is like so many who want children but can't. They turn to a fertility clinic thinking the embryo made for them became the daughter they treasure. Well, they want to stay anonymous for now, but according to a lawsuit filed today, that daughter is not biologically related to them, leading to 2 big questions. Who are her biological parents? And does this couple have a biological child roaming around they don't even know about?
My client had more tears than I've ever seen someone shed because what he thought was his daughter isn't.
Attorney Robert Murdoch speaks on behalf of a father who recently learned his daughter is not biologically his.
IVF is an absolutely amazing thing. We're living in amazing times.
IVF helped the man and his wife conceive a child in October 2006. According to the lawsuit, the couple chose an egg donor and used the man's sperm.
This was a way to, have his heritage move on. And it turns out it's not, and it's a little too late for that.
A little late, as after their daughter took an Ancestry.com DNA test, she learned her parents aren't related to her at all. The lawsuit alleging a now closed fertility clinic, Nevada Fertility Cares, implanted the mother with the wrong embryo, an embryo created for another local family, a family whose biological child was alive for 18 years without their knowledge, meaning the embryo they thought became their daughter is missing.
Is your client worried that he could have fathered children that he doesn't even know about?
Absolutely. Because again, where'd that embryo go? Was that implanted into somebody else?
The 8 News Now investigators finding the state medical board has never taken action against the doctor, who remains licensed in Nevada but works in New York. But board records show around the same time as the reported mix-up, she settled for $30,000 for negligence in freezing and storing embryos.
In this case, the biological child is not his. So as a result, he has to go adopt her. The real point of this is finding out what happened, why, and hopefully making sure that this is the only mistake out there.
The mother involved in this case recently died. That led her daughter to then get that Ancestry.com test, and you know the rest. We reached out to the doctor and another person named in this lawsuit and did not receive a response today, but right now both are working in the IVF industry. I'm David Sharns, 8 News Now.
David, thank you. The lawsuit cites negligence and malpractice and demands a jury decide any culpability and potential damages.
That's crazy. These DNA tests, 23andMe, Ancestry.com, they're getting all kinds of people in trouble. I did a 23andMe. I want to do the Ancestry one because I don't have any family left. My parents are gone. My grandparents are gone. I have some cousins out there, but I have sisters somewhere, and I could potentially have nieces and nephews. So trying to find them. So that's one of the reasons I've been doing it. But the max relative that I have on 23andMe is like 2%. That's it. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And I feel so bad for that kid. She lost her mom and then found out, her dad isn't biologically her dad, but even he's still her dad, but that could, mess somebody up regardless. That's terrible. Oh, Candace. I'm not even going to say that out loud. That's a lot. So real quick story. So a local, well, not local to me, local to this news broadcast, a church had graffiti put on it, and they put Satan rules. To me, that just looks like some kids being dumb. That's not like some legitimate satanic anything. I watch Supernatural. I know what's legit.
We do have a lot to talk about, beginning in Gates, where police are investigating graffiti at a church this week. The Way of Holiness Church had the words "Hail Satan" and "Satan Rules" spray painted on the building, as well as crossing out the words "Holiness Church," replacing that with "Hell." From what we have learned, the graffiti has now been painted over and cleaned off the building. Police are still following up with leaders at the church to look for leads on who might be responsible.
15-year-old boys. That's definitely... yeah, that's these are some high school kids. Like, that's all that is. That's some high school kids doing stupid shit. Yeah, so I didn't watch Supernatural when it was on air. I've been watching it over the few years on Netflix, and lately I have, when I need something to watch, holy shit, guys, I'm getting more spam phone calls. This is so annoying. So annoying. Another one. 231, 238. Stop calling me. Arizona, Las Vegas. No. And I keep blocking them, but they keep calling me. Hi, Carrie. Glad that you could join us. Yeah, so I started watching Supernatural like a few years ago on Netflix. I'm on season 12. Now, another one. Another freaking spam call. Guys, I'm not going to fall for it. Stop trying. So I'm on season 12. So whenever I'm doing something, cleaning or whatever, I put on Supernatural now because I really would like to finish it. I haven't had any spoilers yet, and I would like to not. And Jensen Ackles is my celebrity crush for sure. I think that he is a beautiful man and like genetic perfection. Him and Jared are both very handsome, but Jensen's definitely my favorite. And him and his wife are such a beautiful couple, and their kids are beautiful too. So, all right. So the next story does have to do with the murder of a child. A barber has been charged with the murder uh, of a 6-year-old.
The grieving mother of the 6-year-old boy beaten to death with a piece of lumber is speaking exclusively to ABC7. Her son's babysitter, Ernest Love, is charged with murder and torture. Orange County reporter David Gonzalez has the heartbreaking story.
I was genuinely blindsided. I trusted him with my son.
Charlene Safour's heart is crushed, knowing the person she believed would take care of her son, Chance Crawford, instead caused him unimaginable pain.
He died a brutal death. It's brutal. He did not deserve to go out that way.
You did that, man. See that? There's going to be a lot of stuff you're scared of, but it don't matter. You got to push through it.
Okay.
This is one of the many videos Ernest Lamar Love sent to Chance's mom anytime he babysat.
He came in my son's life just as a male figure. He taught him things. He helped him overcome certain fears that my son had.
But on August 30th, Safour's life began to crumble after she dropped Chance off at Love's barbershop in Placentia before heading off to work at St. Joseph's Hospital. Later that night, Love called to tell her he was rushing Chance to the hospital.
He did tell me that he was doing jumping jacks. He had him working out and he fell and hit his head. And that's what's hard for me because I believed him when he told me.
Prosecutors say Love had beat the 6-year-old with a piece of lumber for wetting his pants at a park, then poured hydrogen peroxide on the open wounds and forced him to exercise until he collapsed.
How could you do this to a child? Like, it doesn't warrant what happened.
Love, who went by Azariah, was part of Amazing Church in Lake Elsinore as a minister and prophet.
He did the right things. He helped people move.
Prophet?
He helped give advice.
I'm sorry. A prophet? Aren't you a prophet, like, if God himself chooses you, like, sends you the tablets or some shit? You just say that you're a prophet. I'm pretty sure a prophet wouldn't beat a child. A prophet. Sorry.
He's, help people, start businesses.
But he had been suspended from his roles due to inappropriate behavior with women. They never suspected he would be capable of doing what he's accused of.
We poured so much into him and he failed us. He failed us. He failed our faith. He failed us. He failed Charlene.
Most importantly, they say he failed Chance. Chance died on Tuesday after being declared brain dead and taken off life support.
I want justice for my son because he did not deserve that.
This is just an absolutely heartbreaking story. Now Chance's mother is urging other single mothers out there to be extra vigilant as to who watches their children so something like this never ever happens to them.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more.
Unfortunately, sometimes evil hides in plain sight. I know a family where the father's girlfriend murdered was a 5 or 6-year-old as well, and she was the best girlfriend that he ever had. Mom loved her. She seemed real sweet and wonderful and great, and she did something absolutely horrific. You can screen people, you can do all that stuff. I mean, it's tough to know if somebody's capable of that, but where is this at? This is in California. Because there's an ABC7, I think, in Florida, so I wanted to... But clearly there was complaints and stuff in the church with his actions and stuff like that. But anybody that calls themselves a prophet or says that they're Jesus or something, like, unless you can show me some proof, like the prophets in Supernatural, or like, snap your fingers and can do something, I'm not going to believe you. But I feel horrible for that mother, a single mother trying to do it on her own and then trying to give her child a male figure, somebody that she trusts, somebody that was a barber in the neighborhood, and then he goes and does that. It's California, so there's no death penalty there. That's a shame. So let's see. The past couple streams, we've talked about the therapist that was killed in Baton Rouge by the TikTok star, 4.3 million followers, killed his therapist. So now the latest information is that he actually killed the therapist in his own apartment. Mr. Prada killed him in his apartment. I don't know. His name is, something Thomas. Mr. Prada is a dumb name, but anyway.
Also breaking news this morning, a man arrested in connection to the death of a Baton Rouge therapist faces second-degree murder charges. TikTok personality Terrion Thomas, also known as Mr. Prada, is currently in custody in Dallas. He faces obstruction of justice charges as well in the death of 69-year-old William Nicholas Abraham. Abraham's body was found in a ditch in Tangipahoa Parish last week. The relationship between Thomas and Abraham is unclear, and authorities have not revealed a motive. Thomas will be extradited to East Baton Rouge for court at a later date.
I like that it says it in the title, but it doesn't say anything about what happened in the apartment in the video. Guys, another one and another one, DJ Khaled. So far this hour, I have gotten, let's see, since 2, I have gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spam calls. And they're all the same. We're a lender and we can give you $72,000 and blah, blah, blah. And it's some recording. Their name is either Sarah or Jennifer or whatever. So I'm very curious to see why this person decided to beat a therapist to death, a therapist that had a good reputation, a therapist that was real liked, somebody that used to be a priest and served the community. Very, very curious to see why. Sometimes we never know why, but in this situation, I am very curious to see why. So $2.5 million of drugs were busted in San Antonio. We did see a huge bust in Fort Myers, Florida last time, this time in San Antonio.
And this just into our newsroom as well. $2.5 million worth of drugs are off the streets tonight. It comes after a major drug bust on San Antonio South Side. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office showing off their seizure in just the last hour. Up to 30 kilos or 66 pounds of meth were found in a home on Fitch Street, according to deputies. That's between I-35 and Pleasanton Road. The sheriff says some of the drugs were initially uncovered during a traffic stop. Information then led investigators to the home where they say the drugs were found in a diaper box. Tonight, a man and a woman are being booked into the jail, but more charges could be coming.
We're anticipating that those two people are going to probably be facing federal charges as soon as tomorrow. Our intention is to continue consulting with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I believe our intention at this point is to book those two people federally tomorrow.
The sheriff says they also seized $20,000 in cash and an additional kilo of cocaine. BCSO worked the case with SAPD and DPS.
30 kilos of meth. And I've heard that they're doing something different with the meth process, so it's more concentrated, it's stronger than it used to be, so that's definitely an issue. So the next story is a really horrible story. So I do want to play my warning.
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
This story is one of the most horrific things that I have seen ever. It does involve a small child. So I'm just warning you.
Tonight, a 27-year-old father will spend the rest of his life in prison after a jury convicted him today in the killing of his infant daughter.
Luis Luna has been in jail since 2020 after prosecutors say he brutally raped and murdered his infant daughter inside his West Harris County apartment. 8-month-old Savia Mason had been dropped off to spend time with her father, who has always maintained his innocence. But during the investigation, police found bloody baby wipes inside his apartment, and an autopsy revealed that she had been sexually assaulted. Prosecutors spoke exclusively with our Bryce Newberry about this horrific case.
Her daughter was brutally murdered, taken from her too early. And so, she didn't get to ever celebrate her first birthday. She didn't get to take her to pre-K, see her take her first steps or any of that stuff. So she missed out on all that stuff because of what this man did.
How difficult are cases like this?
They're difficult because they involve children, and especially a child of this age. I mean, she couldn't walk, she couldn't talk. She had no voice, and so the jury really was the voice for this little girl and spoke for her by its verdict.
The trial lasted 10 days, and the jury reached a verdict within a matter of hours. Since it was a capital case, Luna has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
All right, Corley, thank you.
That's a shame that it wasn't the death penalty, but life without the possibility of parole. I'll take that as long as no law changes where he can get out, because somebody like that never deserves to see the light of day. And I'm going to hope that people that are in prison hear about what he did, because they don't like that shit either. So good luck. Good luck in your no home, sir. I don't think it's going to work out for you. I hope you have the life you deserve. So this is also in Harris County. I had spoken about Gerald Goines before. He was responsible for a raid into a home that wasn't doing anything wrong. They did a raid thinking that these people were drug dealers. This police officer falsified all the evidence. It cost 2 people and a dog their life. And, how many other investigations, had issues because of him, how many people got out of prison that should have been there because he was involved. So he was found guilty of murder, and he should be, and he's going to go to prison for the rest of his life. But during the sentencing, he had a medical emergency and had to be taken out.
Closing arguments are now underway in the sentencing phase for former HPD narcotics officer Gerald Goines.
We just learned an hour ago that Goines had a medical emergency in court and was taken to the hospital. Despite his absence, though, court proceedings will continue. I want to show you video of Goines being removed from the courtroom by deputies. Goines was found guilty for his role in the fatal 2019 Harding Street raid that resulted in the deaths of Dennis Tuttle, Regina Nicholas, and their dog. It is part of our ongoing court series, The Bench. Investigator Mario Diaz is at the Harris County Criminal Courthouse. Mario, fill us in on what happened with Goines today and if that will impact proceedings at all.
Well, I will tell you right now, the status of this day is it's been postponed. The jury was sent home in the last 30 minutes. They will either come back tomorrow or Monday, pending what happens with the evaluation that Goines is now going through at a local hospital. But this took place shortly before 11 o'clock this morning. It happened during the closing arguments of the sentencing phase of this trial. And when the prosecutor for the state began to really hammer away at Goines and what he's done over the years in his character, you saw him inside the courtroom motion to one of his counselors or one of his attorneys and grab them. They ended up stabilizing him with their own hand. You saw him shake, asking, "Are you okay? Okay?" And Goines began to really breathe very heavily. It was conveyed to the judge that something was going on with him, and then he tried to get up and get out, and that's when he was escorted out of the courtroom. The man who is now joining me, Rick Toto, he was sitting right in front of me during this entire experience. He's been one of our legal experts during the bench. Gerald Goines, your thoughts on seeing this play out this morning?
So it's pretty dramatic in the court today. As you said, as the prosecutor started getting into a closing argument, he seemed to zone out. His pupils were dilated, he was shaking, and it appeared that he was losing control of his functions. And it seemed legitimate to me. I was about 10 feet away and I was able to see what was going on.
You and I were both right there. Have you ever seen anything like this play out before?
This happens occasionally in cases. We've had cases in my experience where people are faking it, looking for sympathy. We've had cases where family members have fallen out in the middle of closing arguments of the trial. But to me, this appeared to be some type of legitimate medical emergency that he was going through.
Do you see this because of the fact that in other cases, this is the weight of the reality now beginning to set upon them?
That could be one thing. The prosecutor was gaining steam. She was being very aggressive. She was calling him out, and maybe the enormity of everything is setting in. He's facing life in prison. He's having a very aggressive prosecutor say things about him. So it could have been that. It could have been a multitude of things. But for now, the trial will pause because he has an absolute right to be in the courtroom and to wait and see what's going on with his medical condition.
What does this do potentially for any appeals down the road? Does this jeopardize any of that? Does this actually jeopardize the case moving forward in terms of whether or not it was a rightful or wrongful sentence?
I don't think there's any appellate issues at this point. I think what needs to happen is the court needs to make a determination as to whether or not he's able to come back to court, and the lawyers will argue that, and we'll kind of go from there. But I don't think it will have any effect.
And in the aftermath, once he gets sentencing, I guess this is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
How this gets handled is vital right now, correct?
Yeah, it's really important for the judge to stay on top of this, and I know she will. She's a really good judge, and determine if he's able to come back because he has an absolute right to be there. And I'm sure the court will be patient in his medical condition.
All right. He's Rick DeToto. He's been one of our legal analysts throughout the course of the Bench Gerald goings. Again, we have complete coverage of the play-by-play as it went down inside the courtroom right now on click2houston.com. It's on our blog.
Yeah, that's great. We don't need all that information. So this ex-cop was out on bail, and he was out on bail until he was found guilty a few days ago. So he's been in the jail the last couple days, and yesterday was going to be the sentencing, and then he had his medical emergency. So, they say it's legitimate. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe the weight of everything, is getting to him. He's not going to have a good time in prison being ex-law enforcement, and especially doing the shit that he did, because he killed people. He's responsible for people's deaths. How many other people went to prison because of him? Or how many people? Yeah. So he's going to end up in protective custody or something. Man, I'm getting another... apparently the 2:00 hour is when all the spammers are calling me. So the next video I have is about the Columbus search, even though we know now what the answer was, but it's still interesting.
Tonight, a Columbus woman went live on TikTok, racking up more than 100,000 viewers as police dug up her backyard. And police are not done with this investigation. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Andrew Kinsey.
And I'm Yolanda Harris. Now, this all started late this afternoon in an East Columbus neighborhood. 10 TV's Carly Dion spoke with the woman and with police to find out what was going on. And Carly, what did you learn?
So, Yolanda, Andrew, the investigation is only just getting started right now into what exactly was buried in the backyard of that home in East Columbus. The circumstances leading up to what brought police there all started with TikTok.
I think my house is haunted and I'm freaking out. Like, I'm literally shaking.
It all started with this video posted to TikTok. Columbus mom Katie Santry says she woke up one morning and noticed something was off.
I'm down this morning to work. The screen shattered. This stuff down here. This hanging off.
Santry says she was spooked.
We close these doors so the dogs don't come in here at night.
Do you have a cat? Because that could just be having a cat. Yeah. And it's pretty easy to crack your display if you're not paying attention, if you put something on the display and close it. But anyway, who am I to judge? I'm having weird shit in my house too. I can't be over here judging her. And I'm like, yeah, this glass exploded and my fan was turned off by somebody. Yeah. So who am I to judge her?
No one is in this room.
She had recently started digging holes in her yard to install a fence. As she and her husband went digging the other day, they noticed something unusual.
Back here, we dug a hole. There is a rolled up carpet buried underground that we came across as we were digging this hole.
From there, the internet started to spiral.
I jokingly on TikTok said maybe the body in the rug
is a ghost and broke my computer.
As tens of thousands of people all over the world became invested in Santry's story, she started to take a closer look.
Okay, so a tree was planted above the rug, and it is called a blood good because this was in the hole.
Santry wanted to fill the hole and move on, but TikTok users said more needed to be done.
I was just going to leave it, and then TikTok was like, you need to dig it up, you need to call the police, so I did. And then when they first came out, they really thought nothing of it.
This video taken just 3 days ago.
We need the excavator out here to get that, most likely. Potentially, yeah.
When nothing happened with police, Santry made some plans of her own to get to the bottom of it.
My friends and I were going to dig this rug up today out of curiosity.
But today, she got a call from police saying they were coming back, this time with canines.
I thought there was maybe like a 0.005% chance that anything was going to happen.
She decided to stream some of it live on TikTok, and more than 100,000 users tuned in as she watched the canine sniff through her yard.
Oh my God.
Santry instantly knew what that signal from the canine could mean.
When they sit, that means something though, right?
Usually.
A second canine also sat in the same spot. At this time, it's still unclear what they may discover underground.
They said that there's still a chance that this rug just could have blood on it. That doesn't necessarily mean there is a body in my backyard.
But for now, it's a waiting game as the investigation continues.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the last thing I was anticipating.
Now, Columbus police tell us they have no conclusive findings so far, but they are holding the scene overnight and plan to return to keep digging into that tomorrow.
Yeah, it's nothing. It was just a rug. So they concluded that today. It was a rug. But why the hell was there a rug in the backyard buried in the first place and 2 cadaver dogs signaled? So I looked online, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but apparently cadaver dogs have about a 95% accuracy. So something happened. Something's crazy. Let me see. God, there's so many murders on here. 1, 2, 3. Another domestic violence one. So in the Bay Area, South Bay, family was looking for answers after their mother was killed in Mexico. I loved Mexico when I was there. I would not go back. I would not go back right now. I love Mexico. They were so nice to me. It was a great time, but definitely check the government website that tells you like what's going on in other countries if you're traveling, because some of the tourist areas even are having a high risk of kidnapping and those kinds of things. It's terrifying. And yes, maybe the body was moved. Maybe. Because why the hell would you bury a carpet? I swear I can talk. 2 dogs in the same spot. Weird. That's suspicious. But all right, so now on to the mom killed in Mexico.
Tormented by uncertainty, a South Bay family is pleading for answers after they say their loved one was murdered in Mexico. They may never know what happened, but their priority now, just getting her body back home. NBC Bay Area's Robert Honda spoke with them today.
Well, the family says it has been a nightmare. They're not only trying to deal with her horrific death, but they say they can't seem to get any kind of help. 41-year-old Erica Gamino is a divorced mother of 5 who grew up in San Jose. Her family says when she left on a trip to Tijuana with her boyfriend in early August, it turned out to be the last time they'd ever see her. Erica's ex-husband called and told them he had identified her badly decomposed body, which was found along a road, and says he was told by police she had an apparent gunshot wound. Tijuana police say the boyfriend may also be a victim. Her brother Albert says they've spent most of the past month trying to find out more.
The police haven't even talked to us, really. It's just been, they gave us an initial police report that came out, but that was, again, not clear on any aspect of what's going on.
Erica's cousin Daniel says family members have gone back and forth to Mexico and can't do much more.
Based on the embassy told us to do this, and we never have any answer, any clue. So like we're just like, at this point, just bring her back home for her kid and for us.
Albert agrees.
I don't think anything down there in Tijuana is going to get solved. I really don't. And me and her kids have come to the realization that we don't expect anything to come from Tijuana, but her to be brought home.
At this point, Erica's children are being taken care of by a family member in the Bay Area. As they say, everyone lives in limbo.
I'm gonna miss her laughter, and that's the hardest part is, I'm not going to be able to say goodbye to her.
We don't want to continue to live a life like this, like try to reach out to the Mexico and try to find out all the information, and we have no answer.
It's been too long now.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Right now, the family has been in contact with the office of South Bay Congressman Ro Khanna. They tell us they are looking into the case.
So, I looked up some statistics just to give you guys an idea. So Tijuana, which I'm probably saying that completely incorrect, which is fine because when I do speak Spanish, I am very gringa. All right. So in 2024, the estimated population of Tijuana is 2.2, almost 2.3 million. So Houston has more people than that. And San Antonio has, I think, about the same, maybe less. So in 2023, there was over 1,800 homicides in Tijuana. 1,800, so 1,844. That's a lot. That's high. Somebody Googled, why are there so many homicides in Tijuana? Because when you Google stuff and that gives you a bunch of, suggestions. So in 2024, in April, they had reported over 600 homicides in April. So please don't go to Mexico. Please don't go to Tijuana, at all. There's too much going on over there. And I like you guys. Please don't go. My cousins used to live there. My cousins are half Mexican and their mom was from there and they would go and live there. But that was a while ago. Please don't go. Yeah, I've been to Cozumel. I liked Cozumel. So the next story is another teenager, 14 years old, a repeat offender already, and shot a classmate. And this is out of the Seattle area. I need to start tracking how many teenagers I talk about in each episode that I do, because I feel like it's so many, and the domestic violence as well.
A child suspect is accused of shooting a student near Lincoln High School. And that child, by the way, the suspect here is just 14 and already has a long criminal history.
That record includes several violent convictions. The teen was just suspended for bringing weapons into a school. Fox 13's AJ Janival talked with the suspect's family.
My grandson might not have survived yesterday.
A child is recovering in the hospital from gunshot wounds. The accused shooter appeared in juvenile court in Tacoma, barely able to watch PG-13 rated movies, but already a repeat violent offender. Documents I obtained show this teenage suspect is convicted of multiple counts of assaulting someone with a deadly weapon in the second degree and unlawful possession of a gun in the second degree. These convictions are out of King County from the summer. Here in Pierce County, the suspect just received a lesser sentence for taking a car without permission. That was 26 days ago. That reduced punishment came with the promise that he would stay out of trouble.
Here we are looking at violent offenses.
According to the probable cause documents, the suspect left Lincoln High School just before the victims. The 14-year-old accused shooter walked into his apartment. When the victims walked by his place, he came back outside and pulled a gun on them and started a fight. This was all caught on camera. The shooting happened on the same day the suspect had been allowed to come back to campus after being suspended for bringing a knife and pepper spray to school, according to police.
But it was inches in his chest. The doctors, everyone there, including me, knew it was an absolute miracle.
When I went to school, if you got caught with a weapon in school, they sent you off to alternative learning. Do they not do that anymore? Do they not send all the kids that do stuff like that to schools where they put kids like that? Is that not a thing anymore? Or maybe it's not in that area, or maybe they were just being nice to him. I don't know.
The victim's grandma telling the court she's concerned if the suspect is released. The suspect's family in court said the teen is a good kid.
He's really smart and a really bright young man, and I hate.
Bro, he's not a good kid if he has multiple offenses that are violent. He might be smart, but that's not a good kid. I made mistakes growing up, but I never hurt anybody that didn't try to hurt me. Like, no.
That he got put in this predicament. I just know his heart, and I know what type of person he is, and I know the potential he has, and he's one of my favorite people in this world.
Despite several family and community members speaking on the suspect's behalf, the judge ruled to keep the teen locked up due to his criminal history. Reporting in Tacoma, AJ Jan.
Like, I get that your child or your family member is different around you, but you can't say that somebody is a good kid when they have racked up multiple violent offenses. It's not being put in a predicament. He put himself in that predicament. When I got arrested for shoplifting when I was 12 years old, that was me. But I was acting out because my dad died. But I made that choice. I wasn't put in that predicament. Anytime that I got in trouble, that was my choice. Like, that's... Nope. Need to... Sorry, I'm going to go on a rant. That shit pisses me off. Because that's why these kids keep getting in trouble and over, oh, it wasn't his fault. It was, a mistake. They're a good kid. People do make mistakes. But not when you keep racking up charges, especially that close together. That's not a mistake. There's something else going on. And maybe there's something going on with this kid. If there is, put him in a facility so he can get help. Because clearly, he's a danger to others. So another domestic violence situation. So this, a woman was murdered in a domestic related shooting. And unfortunately, the police had been out there before in September. So this was documented domestic abuse. And like the woman that was talking earlier, what is being done to protect victims?
Sister, we want justice. We just want justice.
A family devastated after a woman was killed this morning in Baton Rouge. GBR Sheriff's deputies are investigating this death in what has been described as a domestic incident.
News 2's Jordan Ponzio spoke with family members who say this could have been avoided.
Michael Sylvia, family members at the scene told me they were afraid something like this would happen, especially after getting a similar call just a few weeks ago.
East Baton Rouge deputies were dispatched to this home Monday morning on the 6,000 block of East Glen Court for a domestic-related shooting that left one person dead. Family members say the victim's name is Keisha McCrae, and they had already told the sheriff's department something like this could happen.
His uncle called the police 2 weeks ago when Antonio told him that he was going to kill his wife. His uncle had been in Keisha's life for 26 years, so he know the type of person she is. And they picked him up and they brought him back home when they should have took his right then and there.
The suspect's uncle said he made the call and told deputies to arrest him.
And I told them, I said, look, the boy came here and told me he was going to kill his wife.
He said deputies came to investigate, but eventually just drove him back to his home on East Glen Court.
Tell me, how in the hell I supposed to feel, man?
You did your part.
I'm hurt, man. I'm hurt, man. He was drunk. He was put alcohol at the time. And I told him, I said, wait till he pulled off in that vehicle. And y'all arrest him for DWI and drugs. They didn't do it. Now look at this.
WBRZ spoke with the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office about the accusations. The agency said it responded to a call on September 6th along the same street and that the call involved an intoxicated person related to the victim. A sheriff's office spokeswoman wouldn't answer any further questions.
He just made the comment that he was going to kill his wife 2 weeks prior. If something would have been done then, this would not be happening today. And we want justice.
An autopsy is scheduled for tomorrow. So far, law enforcement has not released the names of the people involved. Sylvia?
His own family called the cops on him. That says a lot. I know abusers that have been protected by their family, and this is a very sad case because she should have been protected. People called the police. Those officers made a major mistake driving him back home. Like, no, he should have been locked up or put somewhere else, or it's just, this is one of the reasons why, like, I have security, I have a dog, I have a way to protect myself, because I don't trust that law enforcement is going to protect me when I absolutely need it. And some of that isn't totally law enforcement's fault because response time and being short-staffed and all those other things, but this was a major mistake on them. He should have been charged with terroristic threat. You can't say that you're going to do that. Yes, just stay single. It seems safer. Yeah, I have not been on a date in well, Austin's been gone 5 years. Yeah. So I'm good. I don't want to date. Like, I'm terrified to date. I don't want to get on dating apps because no. I've been on dating apps and it was bad then. I can only guess how it is now. Last time I was on a dating app was 2015, I think. I don't know. A long time. I have already come to the conclusion that I'm just going to keep collecting cats. And then my cats will keep me warm and love me. I don't need a man. Who needs a man? And I have a roommate, so it's like I have human contact and we have dinner and all that stuff. We play house. So that's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. I'm totally fine being single. I have had zero desire to date whatsoever. And I have a lot of baggage too. And I just can't. Yeah, I can't even picture bringing that to somebody else and like trying to figure out a relationship. Maybe eventually, maybe in 5 more years, we'll see. But yeah, it's horrible. The family tried to protect her. His family called the cops and nothing was done. To this situation, I think is a huge mistake by the police. And the next story, another domestic violence story, another one. So this is the third one today. So a woman was arrested for killing her husband, who has been reported missing. A Utah guardsman. So going back to Utah, they got more in Utah than that Mormon wife show, apparently.
Breaking new details in a story you saw here first on KSL. A Cottonwood Heights woman has been booked into jail accused of killing her husband.
His special Sandra Adams was the only reporter on scene when the suspect was taken to jail. He has been talking with neighbors this evening. Andrew, what are they saying?
Well, one neighbor that I spoke to told me that Matthew Johnson was a stand-up guy and a really good father. Even though the couple had been going through a divorce, Matt apparently told this neighbor, quote, "I don't wish any ill will on her." Still, police say it was the couple's differences that led to Matt's disappearance.
It all began here on September 20th, when police received a report that the man of this house,
Matthew Johnson, he's a 51-year-old male,
was missing. And 10 days in, there'd been no sign.
It's suspicious at this time because we found his pickup truck about a block from his house.
2 days after that discovery, Cottonwood Heights police announced a major break in the case, the arrest of Johnson's wife, 41-year-old Jennifer Gledhill.
For murder one, which is a first-degree felony.
Detectives said the woman who reported Johnson missing was actually his killer. The couple, police said, had been going through a divorce, and there was an argument.
After the argument, we know that the victim was shot, and then his body removed from the home.
Detectives tell KSL the investigation had gone around the clock in recent days.
We've actually executed over 20 search warrants in this case.
And in the end, the findings outlined a tragic conclusion.
From what we were able to gather, the neighbors loved them both. I know Mr. Johnson was very well respected in his 19-year career with the special operations and special forces in the Army. So it is a tragedy for all.
Well, the couple has children ages 5, 7, and 11. We're told they'll be staying with their grandparents. Police tell us the case remains under investigation. Back to you guys.
What a tough situation. Andrew, thank you. We first broke this story on air and through a push on the KSL Plus app at 6 o'clock tonight. Be sure to download the KSL Plus app to get breaking news sent right to your phone.
So yeah, they were going through a divorce, but now you're going to prison and your kids are not going to have, your young children are not going to have either parent. Like, I really, truly do not understand the thinking process, because this does happen when people are separating, divorcing, to do that. Because in this day and age, there's cameras everywhere. They can test touch DNA. Like, the chances of you not leaving something behind or getting away with it are pretty small. So why would you risk going to prison? Are you just like hoping that you don't get caught? Like, my anxiety would never allow me to do something like that, because I would fall apart very quickly. And the guy was special forces and she was able to kill him. Oh, next story. We're going back to Seattle. I didn't mean to have so many stories out of the Seattle area, but that's what's happened today. So a 19-year-old, come on, okay, hold on.
Now to our other top story.
Hold on. A 19-year-old killed a senior citizen in the Seattle area. Another teenager. Yet another one. So this is in King County again. What the hell's going on in King County? Remind me to never go to King County. Like, I'm good. I'm just not going to go anywhere. I'm going to stay in my house.
Tonight, the Renton police chief is demanding answers after the 19-year-old accused of murdering a handyman was given a $50,000 bail and released from jail just 27 hours later. Part of that attack was caught on Ring camera. It shows 19-year-old Kashawn Jemerson hit 65-year-old Michael Gray twice from behind with a broom handle. After that, Gray follows Jemerson back into the apartment. Once inside, detectives say Jemerson stabbed Gray to death with a large butcher knife.
Fox 13's Jennifer Dowling talked to Renton police. Now, Jennifer, what is the police chief saying about the judge who set Jemerson's bail?
Well, he's personally reached out to the judge to try to understand her reasoning behind the decisions, that she made of giving him a much lower bail amount. Prosecutors initially wanted $2 million bail, but instead he was given around $50,000 and was able to get out, as you said, just hours later.
It's just better for the community that we have this individual in custody.
Police say this newly released video shows Kashawn Jemerson hitting Michael Gray twice on the back of the head with a wooden stick before the 65-year-old was stabbed and killed inside an apartment.
Our detectives do not believe this was a case of self-defense.
Despite the prosecutor's request for $2 million bail, Judge Michelle Gelson
definitely wasn't. He surprised him. That's not self-defense at all. Well, literally says it right there. And 50 says it. You can see. $50K for a brutal attack on a senior citizen. $50,000. That's an insult. People that live in that area, remember this judge. Remember the judge when it comes up for election. Remember that.
bail, Judge Michelle Gelson set it at $50,000 because only 10% is required in Washington. Jemerson was able to put up as little as $5,000 and was released 27 hours later. He was set free with no electronic home monitoring.
Chief John Schultz and the Renton Police Department are very disappointed in that decision.
The chief went so far as to issue a formal statement saying the suspect's violent actions warrant detention and our community deserves to be protected from a suspect who commits these types of violent acts. The King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office will formally ask the courts again Thursday to increase the amount, arguing the recently acquired Ring doorbell video supports the argument, saying specifically it captured the victim walking out of the apartment with his back turned to the defendant, who appeared to still be inside the home. Next, the defendant is seen quickly attacking and striking the victim. He ran back into the apartment and then the victim followed.
They both enter back into the residence, and within literally seconds is when the stabbing has occurred.
The knife was later found in a sink and appeared to have been cleaned. The prosecutor went on to say although the defendant committed a gratuitously violent crime, inexplicably bail was set at only $50,000 on the basis of a lack of criminal history and ties to the community. The police chief also personally reached out to Judge Gelson about the decision and is waiting to hear back.
This was a violent homicide that occurred in our city limits, and we feel that a murder suspect should have some accountability.
You think?
And prosecutors will be back in court tomorrow morning to formally ask for that higher bail amount. Meantime, the arraignment for Jimerson is scheduled for October 16th. Reporting live in Renton, Jennifer Dowling, Fox 13 News.
I like how they put all this crap in front of it so I can't see it. So admitted he was the person that stabbed the victim, had a large amount of blood on his clothing. Witnesses saw him holding a butcher knife with blood on it. So because he hasn't committed crime before or been caught before, the judge thought $50,000 bond in a case like this was appropriate. This is the kind of shit that happens in Harris County. The DA's office did their job. They asked for $2 million. Ridiculous. My blood pressure, I'm sure, is going up. So have a few corruption things to discuss. There's a couple different cases, but first, hold on, I need to move this one above there. All right. So the next story is out of San Antonio. A woman brought a murder weapon to a fight that was outside of a nightclub. I used to go to clubs and stuff when I was a kid. I don't remember people fighting and killing each other, at least at the ones I went to. But that's definitely happening more and more, it seems like.
At new this morning, a woman is in jail accused of a deadly shooting at a nightclub on Blanco Road last month.
Police say the woman is responsible for the murder of 23-year-old Alex Rodriguez. KINS 5's Earl Stoudemire is joining us live now. Police are saying that the woman lied to them, Earl, and now I understand there's another suspect that they're looking for.
Sarah Berry SAPD arrested Katie Angel LeBoy yesterday evening, and police tell us she lied to investigators to prevent them from finding her alleged partner in crime, Francisco Alejandro Valbuena Tabares. He's accused of pulling the gun trigger, and LeBoy is accused of bringing the gun and not stopping the shooting. In an affidavit made by SAPD, investigators found surveillance footage of LeBoy and Valbuena Tabares leaving the Manhattan nightclub the night of the murder. The video shows Valbuena Tabares and Rodriguez arguing in a parking lot and LeBoy walking off camera to her car. Records say she came back with a gun tucked into her clothes. After the men started to fight, LeBoy pulled the gun out when Rodriguez turned away from them. When Rodriguez turned back around, Valbuena Tabares took the gun from LeBoy and pulled the trigger. LeBoy is facing a murder charge and is being held in the Bexar County Jail without bond.
Oh.
The search is still ongoing for Valbuena Tabares, so if you know anything in this case, please call SAPD.
Wow. No bond. Shocking. So, yeah, there's been a lot of corruption, of course. So, Tina Peters in Colorado County was sentenced for election issues, voter data scheme. yeah, it was definitely a very interesting case and situation.
Colorado story making national news today. Former Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters sentenced to 9 years of incarceration for her role in an election security breach back in 2021.
Fox 31 political reporter Gabrielle Franklin is joining us now to break down that sentencing and reaction from election officials who were outside of that courthouse. Gabrielle.
Yeah, Erica, the judge made it clear today he wanted today's sentencing to be an example of what happens when people in trusted positions violate elections laws. And as a result, Tina Peters is set to do some hard time.
Your lies are well documented, and these convictions are serious.
The judge sentenced Tina Peters to 8.5 years in prison and half a year in jail Thursday. The sentencing comes after jurors found her guilty of allowing a man with unauthorized access into Mesa County's secured election system back in August. The judge made it clear today he wanted the sentencing to serve as a deterrent for comparable behavior in the future.
This is nonsense. Our system of government can't function when people in government think that somehow, some way, the power they've been given is absolute in all respects. And that's where you fell.
Before the judge handed down the sentence, Peters pleaded for probation instead of prison.
But I'm not a criminal, and I don't deserve to go into a prison where other people have committed heinous crimes.
Leaders in Colorado beg to differ. Secretary of State Jenna Griswold saying justice was served.
It's important that when people break the law and breach the public trust, especially in elected office and as an elections official, that they face accountability. With that said, this was the nation's first public insider threat. My office swiftly took action, but then we took a series of steps afterwards to tighten up our laws.
Attorney General Phil Weiser saying in a statement, today's sentencing is a warning to others that they will face consequences if they attempt to illegally tamper with our voting processes or election systems. My office will continue to protect our elections and the freedom to vote. And the judge did tell Tina Peters today that her sentence could likely be shortened if she exhibits good behavior during her prison stay. There's also an option for her to appeal this sentencing, but we will, of course, keep an eye on it and see how it all plays out. But for now live in Denver.
Like, lady, you knew what you were doing. You knew exactly what you were doing. You don't give people access to those things. There's already so much mistrust when it comes to this. Exactly, defense attorney Meow. This is going to be a huge issue. I think it's going to get blown out of proportion, but that's a conversation for another day. So I have a couple of police officers to discuss. I should have put all them together, but that's okay. So a police officer was convicted because of his body cam footage. Thankfully, body cams are becoming more and more common. Most law enforcement has them. If not, then in their vehicle, they should, because clearly some of them don't know how to behave, like we saw earlier, where the guy was threatening and trying to get his wife out of being arrested and all that crap. So he's now a convicted felon because of the evidence that was on the camera footage. Hello, Disney nerd. Right, exactly, Amanda. If you gave your login information at the bank, you would be prosecuted. There's certain things at my job that I could have definitely got in trouble if I gave people access to.
New at 6, a now former Seaman police officer is in jail after body camera video showed him offering a sex act to another man.
Brittany Harry is in Adams County with more on that. Teen obtained James Stokes Sr.'s employment history, which shows that he's worked for multiple police departments in Ohio. Most recently, he worked part-time here in Seaman with the Seaman Police Department from March to August of last year.
Right now, James Stokes Sr. is behind bars in Adams County. The 54-year-old was found guilty of unlawfully accessing the law enforcement automated database system and committing theft in office.
I don't even like the idea of wearing a freaking video camera.
Last July, BCI record shows Stokes reported he was having issues with his body camera and couldn't stop it from recording. A review of footage by then Police Chief Joe Voschal led to the discovery of Stokes asking a man to come to the police department while he was on duty.
And then I was like, something's up here.
This is some of that encounter.
Okay, meet me at the people. Meet me over there, will you? Please. Love you.
Stokes is heard asking the man several times. We aren't identifying the man because he's not facing any charges and didn't want to pursue any against Stokes.
What time you come into my place for alone time? And if I don't get alone time tonight, I swear to God, I will file a charge on you and I'll have your butt arrested. Hey!
The two eventually end up at the police department.
See what I mean? It's locked.
Unlock it.
Nobody else is here. Somebody else took half a day's off on Friday,
Once inside, Stokes' body camera is still rolling.
Oh my God. Strip down. Don't answer that, dude.
The video ends with the two back outside. The man was interviewed by BCI. He told them he had never had a romantic relationship with Stokes and wasn't interested in one. The man says Stokes was obsessed with him and gave him money at times.
Is this something you would want to pursue charges against him on for touching you or anything? Okay.
No, because now he's out of my life, so I just wanted to set it away.
Records show Stokes also ran the man's name through a police database more than once and left the village while on duty to meet the man at a pawn shop outside of Siemens jurisdiction.
From a professional level, I'm not okay with the things that were happening, and I believe that should be looked into.
Records show once Stokes was convicted, the Adams County prosecutor asked BCI to destroy the body camera footage. The records were destroyed, Fox 19 learned, so we obtained the body camera footage from the prosecutor's office. Now, former police chief Voschal resigned over this incident.
These activities took place on a state-run system in which I'm the administrator. I don't have a choice. This has to be reported.
So Stokes started serving his 180-day sentence in the Adams County Jail on August 2nd. That is where he remains right now. Once he is released from jail, he's been barred from using the law enforcement automated database system in any employment capacity. His sentence also includes 3 years of community control and 250 hours of community service. He's also now required to pay a $2,000 fine.
What the fuck? That was a lot. I don't know what I expected, but not that. What a fucking idiot. What an idiot. Why would you... Is this like a small town or something? This was, again, Ohio. No. It says Cincinnati. Yeah, that was a lot. So the Secretary of State is investigating a sheriff, Portage County. No clue where that is, but we're gonna find out. Yeah. See, I think we're all in shock from that story. That was a lot. He was obsessed with the guy. He paid him money. But, your dumbass is going to do all that with your freaking camera on, too. It's recording. Should take it off and, I don't know, step on it or something. Pretend it got broke. I don't know. Something. Not just, I'm going to do this on the camera. So, sheriff used inmates at campaign events and is being investigated for doing that. Yeah, you can't do that.
New allegation tonight that a local sheriff used county inmates for his re-election campaign events. The state is now looking into this, but a jail administrator, they denied the claims. Caitlin McCarthy spoke with one of the former inmates who says they worked during campaign events for that sheriff.
We just set up this entire fundraiser, but it wasn't community work. It was strictly just for him to get reelected. It was his reelection fundraiser.
Christopher McCullough is talking about campaign work he says he did for Portage County Sheriff Bruce Zukowski. McCullough was incarcerated for 3 months last year. He says this happened twice, once at the sheriff's steak dinner and then at the Portage County Fair.
It was me and about 3 other guys. We would go in and we set up all of the tents. We set up the grills with fresh propane. We brought out all their steaks, potatoes, all their food to cook for everybody. We filled up their coolers with drinks and ice.
This is a picture McCullough says is of him and another inmate doing work for Zukowski's reelection. He says he was compensated with $3 a week in cigarettes. McCullough feared retaliation from the sheriff if he said no.
Never once did they ever inform us that we were doing any sort of work for the sheriff.
A former Ohio judge tells 19 News, according to Ohio Revised Code, elected officials cannot use inmates for campaign-related activities. We sat down with Sergeant Sonny Jones. He is the assistant jail administrator.
What's your response to those allegations?
I would say that would be false. I've worked the steak out. I think they've called it a couple of times, or the steak roast for the sheriff. And there's never inmates at the stakeout.
McCullough's attorney tells 19 News this letter detailing the allegations was filed with the Ohio Civil Rights Commission, the Attorney General, and Secretary of State. A spokesperson for the Secretary of State says in a statement, "I can confirm that our office received information on this matter within the past week, and it's being reviewed. We don't comment on pending or active investigations. Our office takes the enforcement of Ohio's election laws seriously and will pursue prosecution of offenses where it's warranted." The Ohio Attorney General also says they are looking into this. McCullough, who now feels safe speaking out, hopes by sharing his story this won't happen to other inmates.
You can't use inmates for your own personal gain.
When we stopped by the sheriff's office today, we requested a comment from Sheriff Zukowski. We were told he was unavailable. But as soon as we hear back from him, we will update this story.
You won't. You won't hear from him. How many cigarettes is $3? Because a pack is more than that, and I would assume that they're more expensive in jail. Are they allowed to? I guess some jails allow it, some don't. I have no idea. But yeah, that was interesting, to say the least. So the next stories that I have do have to do with animals. They're not all great stories. Nobody is hurt. One of the dogs that was injured is okay. So I'm just warning you guys that the dog is okay. There's another one that is missing. So I want to make sure to share that. So the first one is a therapy dog that they were using in jail, a comfort dog. And one of the inmates had the audacity to attack this poor baby. But the system there in Genesee County, they're not playing. They're super pissed about it, and they're charging them, and they're going to enhance charges for anybody that hurts animals in that area.
So sweet. How could anybody do such a thing? I don't understand it.
The Genesee County prosecutor beside himself after this darling pup meant to provide comfort to inmates was attacked. He and the sheriff tell us how she's doing and how they hope this case will lead to changes across the entire state. TV5's Zane O'Meara joins us with that. Zane?
Josie is recovering well, and she's even back on the job. I got to meet her today, but now Genesee County Sheriff Chris Swanson and Prosecutor David Layton say the penalties are not harsh enough for the people who hurt animals like Josie. We do want to warn you, the video that we're about to show you may be difficult to watch.
She just goes around and spreads joy to everybody.
A dog used to bring peace and healing to a place that's cold and hard, attacked at the hands of an inmate at the Genesee County Jail.
She's been going up to people, just acting her same old self.
Josie is a canine serving as an emotional support dog for victims, officers, and inmates.
Josie's got a little badge that was broken at the assault. She's got a little vest that she has. I'm not trying to be melodramatic. I'm saying this is the use of this kind of a canine, is to de-escalate everything. And dogs can do that.
But last week, while Josie was making her rounds, Genesee County Sheriff Chris Swanson says an inmate identified as 27-year-old Romello Maxwell hit the 13-pound puppy. The incident captured on security camera. We're going to stop it here, but the video goes on to show him striking Josie in the face, giving her a concussion and scraping the inside of her pupil.
We had to get an MRI. We thought that there may have been a brain bleed, and the cost is in the thousands.
Maxwell now charged with animal abuse.
I was terribly shocked and saddened when I saw the video that you sent it to me. I watched it on my phone right at my desk. And I said, bring the warrant request right to me instead of taking it to the warrant division, because I wanted to charge it personally and charge it as harshly as we can under the law.
Because Maxwell is a habitual offender, Layton says the maximum sentence goes from 4 years to 8 years, but it's a penalty Layton doesn't believe is harsh enough.
What he did to Josie, if you do that to a human being, it could be as much as an assault with intent to murder. I don't think the laws in Michigan are strong enough to protect our furry friends, and I think that if the legislature is listening and watching, maybe you'll want to take a bill in that increases the penalties.
Swanson tells me Maxwell does not have a history of hurting animals, but he does have a history of assaulting humans, and there can be a direct connection between the two. In Flint,
You feel like a big, strong man hurting a 13-pound dog? I'm pretty sure the other people in that prison or the jail were not happy with that, because animals do help, and they're there for a reason. They're there to help mediate how the inmates are feeling. It helps bring comfort. And I'm sure that the inmates enjoy having an animal in the prison or the jail. It's a jail. They're in a jail. So I hope that there's some justice in there by the inmates. So the next story is Southern California. There's some pit bulls that are terrorizing the neighborhood. If you own a large dog, keep them in your damn yard. If your dog keeps, actually, it doesn't matter what size your dog is. Keep it in your yard. Keep it leashed. If your dog habitually breaks out, then fix it, because it's not okay to have animals roaming around. In San Antonio, they just had a case where some dogs killed somebody, and those people went to prison for a decade. My dog has been mauled, and she has effects from being mauled. And she was trying to protect me, and she had to have major surgery. That shit really pisses me off. Irresponsible dog owners and hurting animals. I have to look at the website. Does the dog die in movies? Because some of it I can't do it. But yeah, keep your dogs, keep them in your damn house, keep them under your control. Train them, train your dogs. Do that too.
A pair of pit bulls have a Pomona neighborhood on edge after repeatedly attacking people and their pets as they go for walks. A few people fear someone could soon be seriously hurt. KTLA's Shelby Nelson joins us live from Pomona where she spoke with residents. Shelby.
Sure, this is the second time in less than a week an attack like this happens involving the same dogs, the same area, and all caught on camera. Now, that more recent incident happened earlier this morning. The woman that you're about to see in that video, neighbors tell us she was scared, she was flustered. They say this is happening all too often, and they need those dogs gone.
They're not little dogs, they're vicious dogs.
It happens again. Watch closely. Two black dogs come charging across the street at a woman walking her dog. They pounce all over her before their owner comes running to get them.
I was inside working and I heard just scary screams coming out. And I said, well, that's not normal.
Borg Zambrano's home surveillance camera captured the incident Thursday morning in Pomona. He grabs his hose to try and deter them. The woman in the video didn't want to speak to us on camera, but sent us these images showing puncture wounds to her dog. This isn't the first time these dogs have attacked a neighbor. In fact, we had just spoken to Zambrano yesterday after his camera captured an incident on Saturday when the pit bull attacks this couple and their 3 Yorkies, one owner suffering a bite to his hand. Do they jump the fence, or how do they get out?
They crawl under the fence.
And neighbors are fed up. Iveria Condon lives at the home where the dogs were. At first, she didn't want to speak to us, but then opened up, saying her son has been bringing around one woman who owns the dogs. Are those your dogs?
No, they're not my dogs. They're the girls' dogs.
And who is that girl?
Her name is Myra.
She says she's tried kicking them out, but to no avail.
I haven't had peace since last May, and I'm going on 78.
By the time we were there, this so-called Myra had left with the dogs. Meantime, neighbors called the Inland Valley Humane Society and SPCA.
You call and they don't come right away. They take them an hour to get here.
And then by then she was gone.
But neighbors believe they'll be back and that it's only a matter of time before someone gets seriously hurt or worse.
Someone's going to die and someone's going to get killed because those dogs are vicious.
Yep.
And neighbors say there have been other attacks that have been unreported even before this. Now, we did reach the Humane Society. Right now, all they could tell us is that they are investigating. Reporting live from Pomona, I'm Shelby Nelson.
Y'all, if my dog got attacked again and I knew where the person lived that has those dogs and get them out, I'm just going to tell you right now, I would get arrested. 1000%. I'm so sick of shit like this. I'm so tired of it. I love animals. I do. But if you don't train your dogs, and it's not that hard to fix the goddamn fence, especially if they're digging under. Put chicken wire, put a snake fence. Snake fences go deep. Like there's stuff that you can put that goes deep into the fence. I know, or deep into the ground because I looked, because I have a gap at the bottom of my fence. But my dog doesn't try to dig to get out because she doesn't do that. And she wouldn't attack people in the neighborhood. Like that shit, ooh. And we already saw in San Antonio where someone died because of this irresponsible behavior. And you're going to do that to your mom? Your mom is 78 years old, stressing the poor mom out so you can bring your piece of shit girlfriend and her terrible dog into your mom's house. Go to California and kick his ass and her ass. Poor. And I hate people that are mean to their elderly parents. That's something, because like my parents are dead, both of them, and I took in my aunt when her husband passed away, and we lived together, and I loved that woman. I love her to death. She was a wonderful human being, and one of her children was not very nice to her and would yell at her and tell her stories are stupid and this and that, and like, don't do that shit. Don't. I really truly don't understand that kind of behavior at all. I swear to God, I need to check my blood pressure because everything I've been showing today is just really pissing me off. So the next video is a dog that is missing after a carjacking. So sharing this video, sharing this dog, so hopefully the dog can be found. There have been dogs found after situations like this, so let's keep the hope alive that this dog is out there somewhere. And this is in Pennsylvania.
Looking for Lucky. People up and down the East Coast are working to find this 10-year-old Airedale Terrier mix. Lucky has been through quite an ordeal. He was in a car stolen in Pennsylvania. That car later involved in a police chase here in North Carolina. Investigators believe the driver dumped the dog at a rest stop, and now thousands are working to find Lucky. This stolen dog, Lucky, has captured hearts across the East Coast. Thousands joining the Facebook group Bring Lucky Home to PA.
My poor father has been through hell. It's been awful.
Linda Martz Felino's dad, 87-year-old Marine veteran Willard Martz, who's also battling cancer, is heartbroken and distraught about his missing companion.
It's been a lot for this man.
September 23rd, Martz went into a Tractor Supply store in Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania, when his keys were snatched out of his pocket and his car stolen with Lucky inside.
He just sped away. Never stopped, never let Lucky out.
Days later, Nash County Sheriff's deputies ended up in a high-speed chase with the stolen car on I-95 in North Carolina. After a crash, the driver, 43-year-old Kenneth Kreider of Poolesville, Maryland, was taken into custody, but Lucky was nowhere to be found. Kreider told investigators he let Lucky out.
I've been told he was at a rest stop. Either Lucky ran away or he let Lucky go. We don't know.
Deputies say the driver may have let the dog out at a rest area along I-95 near Nash County, and now the family is pleading for everyone to be on the lookout.
Reach out. Let us know if you find anything. We'll look into it.
Felino says Lucky's more than a pet. He's also a connection to a brother who passed away.
It was a rescue dog, and my dad was helping my brother who had a rare form of muscular dystrophy. Lucky was fabulous with my brother. My brother passed away in 2020. My dad and Lucky are like this. They're inseparable. And honestly, the only thing that's going to make my dad whole is to get Lucky back.
Well, there is a $5,000 reward to bring Lucky back home to his family in Pennsylvania. He is microchipped, so the family is asking if you see him or a stray who looks like Lucky, please take him to a vet or a fire station to get scanned. And they're really hoping that Lucky lives up to his name right now.
Yeah,
Have
seriously.
some luck.
Lots of folks looking for him. Hopefully they will have some luck.
Okay, that really got to me because this is an 87-year-old man that's a veteran that was carjacked, that's fighting cancer, and he has his 10-year-old dog that was somebody that died, their dog, or that dog had a connection to him, and that's a lot. That's a lot. And that really got to me because of Michi and Michi's connection to Austin. So, like, I get that. I completely understand that. I really hope that that dog is found. Like, out of all the stories that we covered today, like, this one, obviously, I mean, they all get to me, but this one really deep down, really got to me. I really hope that they find that dog. And, like, just tell them exactly where you let him out. Like, you know where you let that dog out. You piece of shit. Oh, God. At this point in my life, you do something to my dog, like, I don't care. I'm coming for you. Like, no. Mm-mm. Okay. Whew. So anyway, we're gonna move on. Because I need to. I have to. Holy God. So a constable in the San Antonio area, Bexar County District 2 constable, was convicted of messing, I think it was messing with evidence or something like that. And this was a few years ago. I saw the news of the trials and all that stuff. So it was actually just overturned. And now they're saying that she was innocent.
First, we begin here. A controversial constable likely feeling vindicated tonight. A Texas appeals court overturning the felony convictions and acquitted former Bexar County Constable Michelle Barrientos Vela. In a ruling issued today by the 8th Court of Appeals, justices stated there was insufficient evidence to convict Barrientos Vela of either count of felony tampering with records. She'd been accused of concealing security payment records at a Westside park. The ex-constable, who left office in 2019 under a cloud of controversy, convicted at trial in 2022. She was sentenced to 5 years probation, 90 days in jail last year, but had remained free pending this appeal. Her defense attorney, Nico LaHood, telling KSAT tonight, quote, "We are grateful that a higher court confirmed what we knew all along. From the onset, we maintained Michelle was innocent of these charges, and this was a political prosecution, end quote. You can read more of this statement and about the case over on ksat.com right now.
Yeah, you guys should definitely look into that because it's an insane story. There's so much going on with that. Let's see. What else? Okay, so that we already did. Okay, so the rest of this, all that stuff I'm going to save for tomorrow. And then I have a scam video that we're going to talk about. So definitely, I'm going to share every scam that I come across so you guys can protect yourselves too. So there's AI that's being used, which we already knew that AI is going to be a problem. So now they're using military photos that have been altered by AI. So it's not uncommon for them to use military photos and pretend that they're overseas and they can't talk and that they need this or that. They prey on widows. Widows can be very vulnerable. They're lonely. Um, so, yeah. So this also really, everything's pissing me off today. This, I like preying on widows, the really vulnerable women. Like, mm. And so if you're talking to somebody online, you can always search, reverse image search to see if those photos are out there. But if they're altering the photos, then you may not get anything that pops up.
Soldiers finally coming home. Combat wounded troops asking for a birthday wish. These images draw tens of thousands of likes, comments, and shares on social media. A semi loaded with American flags, a jetliner full of heroes flying to a D-Day commemoration. But look closer at the veterans' hands. Their plane has no aisle. High-ranking uniformed children in wheelchairs. A soldier saves the hobbly, while those returning troops are in cars with only one seat. And the flag semi is on the wrong side of the interstate. Babies, sometimes in body armor and combat medals, outrank their parents who have 3 arms. This two-headed mother is with the U.S. Army. These images are all AI generated, and they flood pages with names like Proudly American. Atlanta News First Investigates discovered these patriotic Facebook pages have U.S. addresses that don't exist and are actually managed overseas in foreign countries. This is cyber warfare.
It is.
Douglas Frazier retired from the U.S. Air Force as a 4-star general.
Carry on, please.
But he can also be found responding to comments on these AI images, telling older women they're pretty.
It's fake. I have found nothing I can do to make it stop.
And you've tried.
And I've tried.
Atlanta News First Investigates found multiple General Frazier clones on social media, claiming to be widowers looking for love.
How many General Douglas Fraziers are on Facebook alone at any given time?
Well, my wife has recently checked and she says right now there are 300 plus.
300 plus General Douglas Fraziers, and not one of them is real.
I'm not on Facebook.
My partner, my soulmate, my darling wife, Rena.
These fake General Fraziers are widowers. They're looking for love.
All throughout this time, I've been happily married. My wife's been alive.
You don't know me? Tell your husband, text me back. I'm his wife.
So she thinks she's his wife?
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm his wife.
Impersonators of real U.S. generals appear all over the comments, many labeled government official. Atlanta News First Investigates scrolled through hundreds of Facebook accounts claiming to be the chief of staff of the Army and never reached the end after 5 minutes. These generals directly ask widows to friend them.
That was my downfall right from the beginning, believing the first person that talked to me, that he loved me, that he was going to make a wonderful life for us.
Jeannie Wasserman thought she had fallen in love with a military officer stationed in the Middle East. After a year-long online romance, he told her he needed money for a chopper ride out of Syria.
How much money did you end up sending him in total?
I think it comes out to $138,000.
You handed more than $130,000 to a scammer when you thought he was a military officer who loved you.
Yeah.
This was your life savings he took.
Yeah.
Was it everything?
It was everything. I just broke down crying. I really let my family down.
Atlanta News First Investigates obtained computer files labeled the Nigerian Scammer's Playbook that we verified as authentic. Page after page of background stories, love letters, instructions on how to fake video calls, and copy and paste responses that allow a scammer to cultivate a manufactured romance one text at a time.
He would send me a song every day that was, of course, a love song. Then say how much he loved me and all this stuff. And
You thought you were talking to your future husband. In reality, you were talking to a script that the scammers share with each other.
mm-hmm.
There's breaking the bank, and then there's breaking your heart.
Yeah, and both of that happened.
To know that foreign scammers, foreign operatives are using your name and likeness to victimize Americans.
Well, it's heart-wrenching to me, mainly because of the impact it has on individuals who don't deserve to be scammed. in the way and hurt in the way they are.
General Fraser swore an oath that his clones did not. All enemies, foreign or domestic. Now he's facing artificial patriots, fake generals, and real victims.
We got a call from a lady who said, "Can you do anything to help my mom, because she's continued to contribute?" And she called my wife back. Her mom, if I remember right, had killed herself because she'd given her whole life savings, 200,000 euros, to these scammers.
There's literally a body count.
Yes.
We called several numbers victims told us their scammers used.
Hi, this is Brendan Keefe. I'm an investigative reporter. We want to find out why you're scamming people, why you're pretending to be a military officer in the United States when you're actually overseas.
The text reply, send gift cards, then I will give you the whole story. We don't pay for the truth, even when others have paid for the lies.
Our weekly medical checkup.
I wasn't expecting them to respond. And they're like, yeah, we'll talk. Give us some gift cards. Yeah. So if you have, elderly people in your life that you love, or, people that are naive about the internet, because if you, especially on Facebook, AI is taking all over, and like they showed, where there's the kids in Africa building stuff that they show, warn them about AI, warn them what to look for. It's not even that sophisticated yet. It's going to get so much worse. But good news, drinking 2 to 3 cups of caffeinated coffee a day may lead to better heart health. I love caffeine, but not necessarily coffee. So I'm hoping that the other forms of caffeine that I intake are also good for my heart, and it's not just the coffee.
All right, if coffee is an essential part of your morning routine, we've got some great news about its possible health benefits, plus how laughter could be the best medicine when it comes to dry eyes. From where we are joined by NBC News medical contributor, Dr. Kavita Patel. I'm loving this because I've got dry eyes and I love me some coffee, obviously on the schedule. It's a necessity. So the thing about coffee, though, is I feel like there's always a new study coming out, either with something super great or conversely something super bad. You always hear about people saying, oh, I'm cutting out coffee, as if it's like cutting out sugar or something. Right. So what did this new study from Chinese researchers tell us?
All right. So these are researchers who looked at hundreds of thousands of people. These are people who drank nothing, no tea, no coffee, people who drink moderate amounts of tea or coffee. And what's a moderate amount? About 2 to 3 cups, 200 to 300 milligrams a day. And then people who drank more than that. And they looked at them over 12 years, did surveys at the beginning, at the end, and tried to see what association, if any, they had with cardiometabolic diseases. That's things like type 2 diabetes, coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, things that we do worry about. And what they found might bring some coffee lovers like us some great news, that they found a reduction of that kind of risk of getting.
Not that Frappuccino, though. This is not part of the healthy living. That's not part of the coffee that they're talking about.
Cardiometabolic diseases if you had about a moderate amount of caffeine, so 2 to 3 cups a day.
Okay.
And that they saw an even higher reduction if you were a pure coffee drinker, but still a reduction even if you were a tea or kind of a mixed tea and coffee drinker. So all in all, good news for coffee drinkers, but there had been some associations of risk at higher levels of caffeine. That's why I think you're hearing these messages like cut this, cut that, because for each person, an amount of coffee might be just a little different. So the doctor's orders here, Savannah, are to really remember that caffeine itself is a drug. That's why we talk about kind of making sure that it fits with other conditions you have, talking to your health professionals if you feel like you don't respond well. That way. I think that's why you can just think of caffeine as anything else, like sugar, all of these things that can result in higher or even maybe lower risk, depending on how much you have. And I think moderation can be key with caffeine.
Thanks for watching.
Well, apparently caffeine in other forms is okay too. Just don't overdo it. That's why they don't sell powdered caffeine anymore, because somebody was making their own drinks and overdosed from it. So let's see. I'm going to play 2 more videos, and everything else I'm going to save for tomorrow. So I will be on tomorrow. I need to make a phone call, so I would stay longer if I could. So I got 2 more videos, and these are, not sad videos. Yeah, I have caffeine pills. I think they're 100 milligram. I don't know. I gotta look. I haven't been taking them since I haven't been working in an office, but yeah. So the next video is except the animal in this story is not a mammal or furry, but it is a turtle.
Finally, here at 5, the story of a 70-year-old pet turtle that's slowly coming out of its shell, learning how to walk and eat, thanks to a man in the Bronx who recognized it needed some help. Carolyn Gussoff covers Long Island and takes us to the turtle rescue of the Hamptons for this astonishing sight.
Did you guys know that turtles grow beaks? Did you guys know that? I had no idea that they have to do stuff to trim them. Yeah, I had no clue.
Covering turtles by the hundreds make the turtle rescue of the Hamptons home. But there's one that's turning heads after he was turned in by a family unsure how to help him. Mr. Bubbles, they call him, looked like an adorable cross between a duck and a turtle. But his situation was far from ducky.
When I first saw the picture, I was like, that's not real. That is totally photoshopped. And then the turtle came in and I was just like, oh my God.
Box turtles have beaks, which, if not for certain nutrients and lighting, will just keep growing. And for 65 years, it did.
They had no idea that this was not the norm or anything like that. And even when they took him to the vet visits, they never mentioned anything.
Moses Torres says his elderly grandmother lovingly cared for Mr. Bubbles after he was gifted to the family in the 1960s. When she died, the family thought the beak was normal until he posted the curious-looking creature online.
When I made that post, man, they tore me up. They definitely let me know that it was this is not the norm and it shouldn't be this way. I was definitely educated and I realized I needed to make the better choice of getting into someone who gave him the proper care.
When Bubbles arrived, he couldn't hold up his head, walk, or eat or drink on his own. But now there's regular beak trimming. There's a new diet rich in fruit and vegetables and protein.
This motion helps increase his range of motion.
And daily physical therapy. And now he can eat on his own. He'll live out his life at the rescue. Turtles can reach 100 years old. But experts say his recovery is a reminder wild turtles are not pets and need extraordinary care.
He has a forever home with us.
It's great to see him thriving.
And so the beak is now gone, but not forgotten. The staff here has lovingly renamed him Sir Bubbles Beakley. In Jamesport, Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS News, New York.
Wow. Oh, what a story with a great ending.
I'm glad that the grandkid posted it because he wanted to know more. I appreciate him for wanting to do the right thing. Thank you. Thank you for doing the right thing and wanting answers on how to care for that turtle and giving it to a rescue that could help. So thank you for that. So the last video I have for you guys is yes, I agree. You definitely need to see an exotics vet if you have an exotic animal. I had a hamster and I even had trouble getting my hamster care with normal vets. Nobody wanted to deal with the hamster. One of them told me they hated rodents. So that was fun. Anyway, so the next video is an update on a kid 10 years later. He became a meme, and I think you'll recognize him once the video plays. It's the apparently kid. So you'll get to see what he turned into 10 years later.
10 years ago, this scared me half to death.
10 years ago, WNEP introduced the world to a legend right here.
Apparently, I've never been on live television before.
And apparently, I've never been on live television before.
Noah Ritter, dubbed the apparently kid,
My grandpa gives me them around every time we watch the Powerball.
is now 15 years old. Noah, how do you feel saying that again 10 years later?
It feels pretty good. I feel nostalgic about it. It makes me reminisce about being here, this exact spot 10 years ago.
And that's right. A decade later, Noah is still coming with his grandpa Jack to the same Wayne County fair that made him famous.
And again, I wouldn't trade my buddy for the world.
Grandpa Jack was deeply involved with Noah's upbringing and faithfully stuck by Noah's side every step of his wild journey.
Everybody say hello to Grandpa Jack. Yeah.
He stayed with us when he was first born, and I used to keep him on my lap. I read to him.
And it turns out that Noah's grandparents have been deeply connected to the fair. Grandpa Jack's late wife worked for Holly Diner, a food vendor that proudly serves meals every year at the fair.
Yeah, she used to work for them years ago as a waitress.
Grandpa Jack was involved with the fair since his childhood, too.
Yes, when I was a kid, I used to show cattle here at the fair. That's why I brought him here, because I came here as a kid, and I said, well, we'll go up to the fair, and I'll show you the animals and stuff,
Noah's exposure from his viral interview at the fair led him straight to Hollywood. He became close friends with Ellen DeGeneres, appearing often as a guest on her show.
A lot of times we were in the dressing room at Ellen's. A lot of the stars, like Jennifer Garner and stuff like that, they'd come to our dressing room just to meet Noah.
Noah and his grandpa met many other Hollywood stars and important figures.
Chris Pratt, Bill Clinton, Sofia Vergara, Jim Carrey, Bryce Dallas Howard, a lot of people.
Ariana Grande.
Almost forgot about her. I met her.
Almost forgot about her. Oh my God. And he was even cast as a judge on ABC's reality TV show, The Toy Box, similar to Shark Tank, where child judges tested and voted on new toy inventions presented in front of them.
He had to go to school out there for 4 hours, right? And then he worked an 8-hour day shooting the show,
That's a rough schedule.
Yeah, he had a...
For an 8-year-old. Yeah. Noah continues to share his adventures alongside his grandpa on the internet.
He keeps me young. Well, we go to movies all the time.
Whenever a new movie comes out, we like to review it, post it on my YouTube channel. Now I'm juggling YouTube, school, football, track, a bunch of other stuff. I'm going into my sophomore year, getting ready to drive.
Noah may be growing old enough to get his driver's license, but he will never outgrow the Wayne County Fair that seems to course through the veins of his family.
Coming here, enjoying the rides, enjoying the food, seeing all the animals and stuff like that. So yeah, I think I'll come here every year when they have it. I'll keep the streak going.
Jeremy Lewan, Newswatch 16.
Apparently back in Wayne County.
That was adorable. I love that, and I love how close him and his grandpa are. That's adorable, and I wish him all the success on YouTube. They didn't say his YouTube channel, did they? I think this is the original video.
Hold on a second. What did you think about the ride?
It was great. And apparently, I've never been on live television before, but apparently sometimes I don't watch the news because I'm a kid, and apparently Grandpa just gives me the remote after we watch the Powerball.
It's the Powerball.
Tell me about the ride. What did you think about the ride?
Well, it was great.
Why?
Because apparently you're spinning around, and apparently every time you get dizzy, that's all you do is get dizzy.
Is it fun?
Yeah. And I've never ever been on live television. I never ever be on live television.
Are you excited?
Yeah, and apparently I only went down the super slide. When I went down the one, I was scared half to death. I just freak out.
Okay.
What I need his name. Hold on. Yep. Hold on. I'm just gonna ask him. What's his name?
Noah.
Noah. What's your last name?
Dick Ritter.
How do you spell his last name?
Ritter, R-I-T-T-E-R.
Okay. And where are you guys from?
Wilkes-Barre.
Wilkes-Barre. All right, buddy. Good stuff. Have fun.
Come with the carriage. There's a boy here looking for you.
All right.
There's a boy here
That
looking
is
for you.
my dad's town. Tom Jersey.
Tom's different. You there?
He was a cute ass kid. Let me see if we can find his YouTube. The apparently kid, that's literally his YouTube channel. Found it. I'm going to share his YouTube channel in the chat. and then I gotta go. All right. There is his YouTube channel. If you guys want to give this kid a follow, I'm going to subscribe right now. He has 94,000 followers. Good for him. And he gets a lot of views, 8.2 thousand, 19,000. Good for him. Proud of him. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I was only planning on staying on an hour, but yet here we are. What else I had, I'll do tomorrow. I think I'm going to come on at 10 tomorrow, 10 a.m. my time. But I got to figure out what's going on. I'll post on YouTube and I'll post on Twitter. So just keep an eye out. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you again. I love you all. Bye.